Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. We have a wonderful guest. I've gotten to know him a little bit before we got started, and we've got a little bit similar backgrounds, which is nice. We're both human beings, which is really nice. We're both crypto XRP YouTubers, which is nice. We're both Robert Kiyosaki fans, which is nice. So everything so far that I've gotten to know about Crypto Ice, I'm really glad to be able to now begin to start another relationship with a new friend. So having said that as your intro, Crypto Ice, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone and tell them a little bit about your background and a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. And one of the things, like you were saying, that we kind of have a common bond with was I've been a mental health professional for like 16 years. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I really do feel like that our professions kind of play into our investments. Like, what is it about my craft that really plays into how I invest? Because um, you know, I basically feel like some of the struggles is being controlled by fear and greed of this market, right? So let me tell you a little bit about my story. I got into the space in July of 2018, and the real story for me though is during the 2008 crash. I was one of the unfortunate victims of just doing what everyone else was doing. I went to college. I was going to get my first house. It just happened to be right before the crash, and I was totally blindsided. And it was kind of devastating for me at the time because, um, I didn't have a whole lot of money as it was as a social worker, and so to put in my first house and then to have that thing happen, I had to refinance. I had to get a second job. I had to work to even just get over the next decade my value back in my home. And so the real story for me is like I went house hunting in 2018, and I couldn't find anything. I mean, we're in an all-time high real estate market. If I wanted to get something, just maybe in not the ideal community, I could still not get that much house. And so I was like, well, there's got to be some other option or opportunity out there for me. And so I was really seeking that out. And one of my friends randomly came up to me and talked about cryptocurrency and said how much money he made. And I was like, okay, I'll put a couple grand in. And then I studied it, and I was like, whoa, okay. There is actual teeth to this thing. They have Fidelity and TD Ameritrade. And the thing that really kind of caught my eye was ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange, when they were the partner company of the New York Stock Exchange, right? And they were starting this backed, and I was like, why would they be throwing millions and millions of dollars into something if they don't know where this thing is going? Because corporations that big, they don't make mistakes like this. Like all these,
Yeah.
you know,
I like it when
institutions.
Brad Kimes, Ice, when Brad Kimes makes a point like that, he kind of stops and you can tell that his brain is kind of like, this is absolute, and he goes, hello, is this on? Is this on?
Yeah.
So that's what it made me think of when you were saying that. You were like, I mean, what are all these, institutions doing this for? Are they wrong? Hello.
Right. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Brad Kimes, because he is like, if there's one person that's influenced me more in this space, it's him, because he has just brought so much awareness, right? And so, yeah, so I got to that point where I was like, I had this epiphany of, I've been holding my money in a bank account for a decade, and it's just been rotting with inflation. it's time to take this money and put it to use. And I couldn't do it in the housing market. I didn't want to do it in an overinflated stock market. So I'm like, crypto is my new thing, and I do look at it as like a small business owner. Like I really feel like I'm taking less risk than a lot of small business owners right now that are getting wrecked. And
Well,
upside for me,
and I know for me, um, I'm 58, and I have a radio and TV communications degree. Then I ended up going. The first job that I had in my professional career was as a an adolescent substance abuse counselor. And then after
mhm,
that, I've been in sales all my life, and I've, finance and investing and all that stuff. Crypto ice, that's never been part of my bailiwick. And I just sort of had an aversion to anything kind of like that because I just didn't know
mhm,
anything about it. Now that I've been into crypto and I understand all of this stuff, I mean, I think it's imperative for everybody to do that. Take your own financial education into your own hands, and it's really not that complicated, and it's really pretty fascinating.
right. And if you think about it, I know I haven't done a ton of price prediction videos, but I did do one, and it was the one that went viral, right? Uh, it was $200 at 20 cents, and XRP will get you 1,000 XRP. And if you hold that XRP to $1,000, and I know some people think that's crazy, I personally don't. I know a lot of other people like Brad or other people don't, because I know how huge the use cases are of XRP over time. But my point is, if you can just get any skin in the game, I don't care if it's $100, 200, you don't know anything about crypto, you're going to get the financial opportunity of a lifetime. Like you're going to grow up financial IQ wise in a very short period of time, right? And so I got 5 people signed up this week of my friends that are reaching out. It seems that with this bank announcement that people are starting to really wake up. Like they're like, whoa, this is that, and inflation. When I talk to people about their dollars just losing value over time, those seem to be the two things that get people that know nothing about crypto, to me anyway.
And it's
You know,
shocking that people don't really know that if you put $100 in the bank and do nothing, how much less it's going to be worth in 10 years. I mean, what's happened to the dollar just in the last 50 years? It is just shocking.
right, right. I mean, it's. I think I think it's just like we get in this autopilot state where we feel like we've got life figured out. I was in that mode where we just stop learning. That's so dangerous to just stop learning. I mean, even us that have got a handle on this early crypto space, if we ever get to a place where we think we know, we're going to miss out on the next new thing. I have a friend that's a financial advisor, and she's really good at what she does. But you talk crypto, it's like, no, no. I mean, she's going to be in for the shock of her life.
Yeah, so when Crypto Ice, when you first began looking into the space, did you kind of was XRP one of the companies, or Ripple, excuse me, that was that one of the projects or the companies or the tokens or whatever you want to call it that you looked at and evaluated, and what was the process that you used to evaluate it? And was
Yeah.
Ripple one of the first ones, and were you impressed with what you saw at that time? And then how impressed have you been since?
Yeah, great question. Like I I watched a Glenn Beck Tika Tawari at that special. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have.
And that that was the first introduction, and their advice at that time was like, don't spend a lot of money on one coin, like just put some in different ones. So that's kind of where I started. My first month I like put some in Neo, I put some in, and to be honest, at that level it was all about the price was here and now it's here, and I was way too focused on the price, like just the margin of safety, right? Which is really important, but if that's as far as you go, you're not really a good investor, right? Like, so XRP was on my radar, but people just were hating on it so much. I kind of was at a distance with it, and then eventually my friend mentioned to me, yeah, look at XRP, and people were hating on it enough. It's like there's got to be something to this. I got to figure out why people were like so down on this thing, and I realized it was because they were involved with the banks, and it just clicked for me. You can either be a person that thinks that magically banks are going to go away, or you can recognize, as Brett Garlinghouse says, the revolution is going to come from within, right? And so that was kind of my epiphany of like watching it over the last 2 years. I can't, between all of the connections with the World Economic Forum, when it was in that PDF document, to me, that was game over. Like, does anyone else in the space have anything like that? Like, this is central bank.
Hello, is this thing on? Hello.
I mean, it's actually written in to the document, and
Yeah.
it doesn't get any better than that. That's like the Super Bowl right there, man.
And
So
then Crypto Ice, how about when later on then the comptroller of the currency says, banks, yeah, it's okay for y'all to custody this now. I mean, what other project or what other company in crypto has that?
Oh, right. And man, did we even think that was going to happen for like another year or two? Like I was thinking this thing would go off before we start hearing things like that. Right?
Yeah, me too. And you know, the adoption of crypto in general, you know, now we've got the crypto comptroller, we've got crypto dad, we've got crypto mom, and you know, a year ago, if you know, if we had all thought that the comptroller of the currency was going to be a dude that just left Coinbase,
right?
How shocked would we have all been that a crypto homer from Coinbase is going to end up being the comptroller of the currency? I mean, that's like a dream come true for all of us.
Oh, right. I have a family friend, someone in the family that's was a banker, like at a big corporation, right? I told him that the other day, and because I just feel like that's like dropping a bomb on someone, right? Like, oh yeah, by the way, he was in a crypto exchange. Now he's head of the OCC, and it's like, what?
Yeah. Hello.
So I just think we have so much knowledge, and that's why I look at this as like a movement. We got this going on, and we have a real crisis, right? We have the Fed saying they'll do whatever it takes to keep this market up. Well, that's great in the short term, but what does that mean for our dollar? What does that mean for the economy once they can't maintain this forever?
I'll tell you what it means. Hyperinflation. That's what it means.
I think so many people think the US dollar in the United States, such a thing could never happen here, right? But I think we're in for a real shock. And
so you liked XRP, you got over the being the banker's coin kind of a thing, and I agree with you. The banks are not going to roll over. They're going to break out the tanks and the guns before they just roll over and say, "Oh, let's be a part of this revolution." You know, down with the banks. It's just ridiculous. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So, do you feel like that Bank of America is going to finally come out and make public the announcement that they have a working relationship with Ripple or are using excuse me, RippleNet and XRP?
Yeah, it seems like that we've been told there's an announcement like 3 or 4 different times, but it's not the official one yet, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just a matter of time, and you know, I get it. They're probably just trying to pick the perfect time to get the biggest effect, I guess. But um, yeah, that's going to be huge. I mean, how many coins in the space have banks really supporting them and backing them and coming out and talking about? And you know, like Glenn Hutchins says, you know, the value is in the protocol. I think that we underestimate the power of the XRP ledger, and we focus so much on the token that we don't realize everything could be settled on the back end by XRP. Now, when people tell me that XRP can be a high price, maybe you should think about that.
Yeah, good point. Touche. So, and also, what if you think about that, crypto ice, and then put that on steroids by thinking and imagining the implication of tokenizing everything on top of it all being on the ledger. So everything on the ledger and everything tokenized. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Right. I've been told that tokenization of our world is going to be even bigger than this crypto thing that we're doing, right? So that's going to be like on steroids.
Yeah. Yes, I believe it will be. And also, what about Grayscale? Barry Silbert getting ready to come out with a major media campaign sharing with the world how great the digital asset class is. That's really a good thing too.
Yeah, I think didn't wasn't there some recent news that they doubled down on their XRP investments?
Oh, yes, and
And
there's that part too. Yeah.
even though they're not maybe speaking XRP, you're seeing it in their investment bank account, right?
Correct. And so and one thing from your mental health clinician professional background, helping people with, you know, things not going on quite right up here,
Mm-hmm.
what would you have uh, uh, to say as a message of hey, we're here for you to the people in the crypto space with the maxi attitude? What would your professional opinion be of a maxi attitude?
Oh, whether it be a Bitcoin maxi or XRP maxi.
A bit
Um,
maxi in any way, shape, or form, but yes, mainly to the Bitcoin maxi people because I see that disease worse
mhm,
in that community than I do any of the others.
right. I mean, I would say that, just like that friend I was telling you about that's involved with the finance, she's a financial advisor, very knowledgeable in the traditional world, but you're going to get left behind if you become so tribal that you can't see that multiple coins are going to win in the space. And, you know, I don't think it's good for the community either, right? Like people come in and they're like, geez, what's going on? They can't seem to agree on anything. People are already confused, and it's so foreign as it is. And then we have people, and that's just natural, right? We can't avoid this, but I do think that once this bull run goes off, a lot of that's gonna, you know, proof is gonna be in the pudding, and people like Tone Vays are not gonna be able to say a whole lot at that point.
Well, and
So
you know, I got news for you too. People like Poomster and the Twinkle Floss twins, I mean, you get to a certain point where it begins to become unethical because
yeah,
when you're pumping all of that stuff about Bitcoin only, and you're not including the transaction time, and you're not including the high transaction fees, and you're
yeah,
not including that it's 57,000 times more less eco-friendly than okay, than XRP, okay, but other crypto, you know, eco friendly situations as well. And
Mm-hmm.
then and then to me again the big topper is that the majority of it is mined in China. Now they did not originally think Satoshi, I don't believe, ever imagined that the hash rate was going to be mainly in China. I don't
Right.
think that he imagined that the transaction fees were going to be that high and that the transaction times were going to be that slow and that that it was not going to be eco friendly. But
Mm-hmm.
this is the reality of it now. And for people like that to not be including that when they are so close minded and just only talking about Bitcoin as if nothing else matters, it's borderline unethical. And I'm really tired of it. Stop lying to people. Just stop lying. I don't.
Yeah.
I own some Bitcoin, but I
Mm-hmm.
also, when I share with people about what's going on with crypto, I let them know that there are some problems, with that. And I don't hear them, these Bitcoin maximalists. I don't hear them being honest. And sorry, but in my world, if you're not being honest, you're being dishonest. If you're
Yeah.
not being ethical, then you're being unethical. And so, Pompliano, stop lying, pal. I mean, there are people in the space that are hearing what you're saying, and we know that you're a liar.
Yeah.
And I, for one, don't want to put up with the crap from you anymore.
Yeah.
I'm fed up with it.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that people like Pomp want to speak to their book and they have people to report to and budgets to meet. But at the end of the day, if you're leading people down a wrong path and you know another path, that to me is no different than Jamie Dimon saying the same thing. I'll fire anyone that works for me that buys crypto. It's a fraud. It's a fraud. And then all of a sudden he's buying it on the down low, and now he has banking services for crypto exchanges. I mean, that to me that's very dishonest. That's not doing the public any. They already have so many trust issues with people of authority in the world anyway, and we're not helping with that, right?
Well, and Crypto Ice, what do you think is going to happen if someone comes into crypto based on what Pompliano's telling them about Bitcoin, and then they begin to do their own research and they discover these problems? And
Uh-huh.
again, I own Bitcoin. I hope that it goes to $1 million of Bitcoin. I'm fine with that. But when I
Right.
am sharing the crypto space with people, I'm being honest and upfront about the reality of the projects out there. And, it's like XRP. I'm right up front. Hey, here's
Yeah.
what's good about it. They've got a use case. They've got a great, ledger. They've got a lot of cooperation with a lot of banks. Now, the downside, okay? Some anarchists don't like that it's the banker's coin, but I don't
Yes.
not tell people that, and because I'm not going to be unethical, and like I said, I don't want to end up I'm not a financial advisor, not financial advice. I don't want to get sued for slander, but I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying, if you're not sharing with people both sides, then in my world, my opinion, you're being unethical. And Pump, I don't hear you telling the whole story. I only hear you saying Bitcoin, 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 it's the greatest thing ever. But I don't ever hear you talking about what the realistic problems are. And that's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, you know, those people that are being dishonest will probably get away with it as they usually do, but it's a very lonely existence for those people, right? When you have people eventually find out you being dishonest, that's got to be kind of a lonely world for them. And I would rather have um, less money and less viewer and be straight up with people and at least have their respect and build trust with people. That's more important to me. Relationships is the most important thing in our life, right? If we can't be honest in our relationships, I don't care what else you have.
Well, and like I said, I'm not trying to pick a fight. I'm just trying to say that we're all in this crypto world together, and
Mhm.
the more honest and transparent that we all are with other people, because again, eventually, if someone comes into the crypto space, and they get into Bitcoin, they're eventually going to get to the point where they understand, hey, you know what? There's slow transaction fees with this thing. Hey, you know what? It's mainly mined in China. Hey, you know what? It's not eco friendly. I mean, these
Right.
things matter. So the only thing that I'm saying is to be everyone in the crypto space, be open and transparent about the reality that we're in today. And again, I don't think, as a Bitcoin owner, I do not think Satoshi felt like those problems were going to come up. But they are
Mm.
here. Let's be honest with them and hope that the BTC community and developers can solve these problems. But not
Yes.
telling people these things, in my opinion, is highly unethical. And you're going to
Yeah.
get found out. You're going to get found out eventually if you don't, if you're not honest to begin with.
Yeah. I think that when this thing goes down with the bull run, the YouTubers. I mean, we have so many amazing YouTubers in this space. Uh, that are educating us with solid research. I think that that's the saving grace. You know, if people are really hungry for information and they're willing to look at all the different ones, I think that they can find it for themselves, right? Like they can, um, but you have to be pretty diligent and seeking out a lot of different people and perspectives before you settle on something. So.
Agreed. So where do you feel like that we are right now? I know last year about this time, Brad Garlinghouse said that we were in a marathon and we were about at mile 3. Do you believe that the Fed putting $7 trillion into the economy in the last 12 months and the pandemic and the continuation of the relationships that Ripple has developed, do you feel like where do you feel like we are in the marathon today?
I think I'm of the opinion that developments have sped up, not slowed down. I know some people think that things have slowed down because of the pandemic, or right.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think I think that things are so fragile in the economy in the world that actually we're like, oh, we got to get all this stuff in place before this thing crumbles. We got to get all the rails in place. And I know it's been talked about, traditional rails and the digital rails kind of being side by side for a while together. And I think that's awesome. I'm certainly not someone that wants to see the economy tank and all this suffering. I would love to see the crypto space and traditional finance kind of rails be together and to make as smooth a transition as possible, right? But I can't believe that there's not going to be some disruption coming, and people are going to be suffering. And that's why I have a sense of urgency of letting people know about crypto. It's not just hey, this would be nice. You could make some money. I actually feel like it's more of like a survival. Like you may need this. You may need this to hold on to your house. You may need this to hold on to, having a good quality of living.
Well, are you a proponent of the pre-allocation theory? Do you believe that the IMF could end up with part of the escrow that Ripple has been holding on to, pass it out to the member nations in the IMF, set that old XRP up at about $1,000 in XRP, flip the switch, and then we've got a level playing field with a reset?
Oh
Sound
man, that
reasonable?
sounds nice. I do think that, like, I know I know there's a lot of controversy of allocation or pre-allocation or not. I think it's very possible. I think it's kind of telling that Ripple, the company, is buying XRP on the secondary market. And why would they do that if they have? I mean, they have all this, what, 50 some odd billion in escrow, and they're still buying it on the secondary market. Maybe right. Maybe it's because that they have that escrow money accounted for in some ways, like they're not using that money. So I could certainly see, I'm not against a price set. If that's the way it goes, I'm not going to complain. All right.
Oh yeah, no, me neither. Me neither. So do you think that the Digital Dollar Act is going to pass? Do you think that after Brian Brooks came out with uh, his announcement from the OCC, do you think that the regulations from the senators and the congressmen is as important now after Brian Brooks said that the banks, it's okay for them to go ahead and custody it?
Oh, I agree. I think it's less important. I think that I underestimated. I had no idea what the OCC was. I'm just going to be a disclaimer here. 6 months ago, I didn't know. Now I believe that he has so much power that, yes, I think that the Congress are just going to go along with you know, I think it's a beautiful thing.
And I don't know about you, but every excuse me, every time I hear him in an interview, I'm like, dude, this dude gets crypto. He believes in this crypto thing as much as I do. How
Right.
incredibly exciting is that?
Yeah, he gets it. He has insight into the space. When he talks, you can tell he's speaking like what it's going to be like a decade from now, right? I'm like, well, he's got a depth of knowledge. So
Well, and it
that's
makes sense. It makes sense too, I believe, if you go back to the original premise of, you know, what Ripple came here to do, which was to be able to provide a way for us to be able to move money in the same way that we move information. I mean, it's ridiculous that we're not doing that. And, looking at how dismal the performance of Swift actually is, slow, costly, 6% error rate. I mean, that's begging to have a technological advance make it better.
Yeah, Scott, I don't know about you, but have you ever done a Swift wire transfer? I have. That was the most scariest moment in my crypto life since July when I did a wire transfer. It's not knowing, is it there yet? Is it there yet? And to think that we're still there in 2020, yeah, I can't wait for that to change.
Well, one of my greatest joys and greatest interviews that I've had is with the XRP lover. And turns out he's been on Wall Street for 26 years. And one of his first jobs, when he would go into work in the morning, he would see a stack of papers about this big, right? And guess what they were? They were the error reports with the transactions that the bank made overnight with Swift.
Man, talk about stress, man.
Yeah, think about
crazy.
it. Here's your day's work. Sort through these errors on all these transactions we did overnight. See if you can get them all straightened out. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're due. We're due for a change. So
yeah, I believe we are too. All right. So as we wind down, if you one of the things that I always do with people that I like, actually I've done this every time because I like everybody. And I do like you, and I pre-invite everyone to come back so we can further the conversation to give us some contrast. Like today is the 8th of August. We get together in a month or so like that, then we can kind of update and kind of see how things have developed from now.
Grateful to be part of this community. This is such a great space. I've met so many great people. So I appreciate you letting me come on.
Fantastic. And I look forward to getting back together again. And I think that's a perfect way for us to sign off. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever anyone is in your time zone watching this. I hope everybody takes very good care of themselves and be safe. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.